Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone supporting supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to and during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
When the wolf is at your door, your running's over, that's for sure. He already knows all about you. Cut you down, no matter by you. Now you better walk the line. Real life, real
Warning, this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, may contain descriptions of acts of violence or that of a sexual nature and should be for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off of the internet or from some television show. The facts I'm retelling you were presented to me by the victims of the crimes or the perpetrators who committed the crimes against the victims. My descriptions of the crime scenes, what I saw with my own two eyes. If you're going to get offended, please turn this podcast off now. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Woody Overton. And I'm going to do a couple of updates today on some things that I missed, and thanks to Mama Karen Ortolano for sending me some stuff, and Leah Marie and Alex Petrie. So when I told you the story about Still Alive, I missed the prequel to it, y'all. I didn't miss it. I actually had seen it, but I just didn't know all the details on it. So, but this is important. Now, remember James Dunn? He executed the two victims in the Bank and Assumption Parish. Well, you know what? That wasn't his first rodeo, and it's crazy. So let's go back to before they committed the bank robbery, and we go to Edgard, Louisiana. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to call this prequel, y'all, this episode. So there was Lieutenant Sherman Walker, who was the chief of detectives in the St. John the Baptist Parish. Y'all remember we have parishes, not counties. And to be chief of detectives that's the number 2 spot in the sheriff's office, okay? So you are running everything from uniform patrol to the jail to, handling whatever a sheriff needs handled. I mean, you're the top law enforcement officer in the agency besides the sheriff. And I'm just going to touch on a little bit for you because it involves Dunn, who's still breathing, still alive. All right, so Walker, who was the parish's first black chief of detectives, was shot to death as he stepped outside his mobile home on the night of November the 6th. Now, there were 3 men that were charged in the slaying of it, right? And one was a Wilford Greenup, and he was 18 years old, and he was charged. He changed his plea to guilty Monday just before their jury trial selection was to begin for the murder of Lieutenant Sherman Walker. He pleaded guilty to the less charge of attempted first-degree murder because first-degree murder, y'all, you kill a cop, you get a death penalty, right? The 2 other men accused in the crime, James Dunn, who's our shitbag from Still Alive, who executed the 2 victims in the bank in Assumption Parish. James Dunn and another guy, another dirtbag, Willie Rogers Jr., pled guilty and were sentenced earlier in the killing. Dunn received 21 years for the attempted murder, and Roger, who actually evidently was the one who shot and killed Lieutenant Walker, was given 99 years for first-degree murder. Well, they executed this law enforcement professional, career law enforcement professional. I don't get it, how you can kill a cop and not get the death penalty. But Greenup, in a taped confession played at the June hearing, said the idea for the slaying came from Rogers, who had been arrested by Walker 5 times in the past and had served prison time for his crimes. He said, "Let's go, burn Sherman." And with Dunn, the men lay in wait outside of Walker's home until he left for work. Now, he's going to the sheriff's office to protect and serve, and comes out of his house, and guess what? All 3 of these dirtbags had shotguns, and as Walker walked outside of his home, all 3 of them jumped up and fired shotguns. But Greenup, in his confession, he said, I intentionally missed him. I didn't want to kill him, right? So he said, I deliberately missed him. Well, ballistic tests showed that Walker was killed by a blast from a 12-gauge shotgun, the type that was carried by Rogers. The other 2 men, including our hero, or shitbag Dunn, carried 410 shotguns, and the slugs were found embedded in Walker's car, very near his body. That's what Sheriff Lloyd Johnson said at the time. Sheriff Johnson said the decision by District Judge Thomas Malick to allow Greenup's confession as evidence at the trial influenced the decision by all 3 men to plead guilty. We had taped confessions by 2 of them, James Dunn and Wilford Greenup, both, he said. I think these taped confessions were the most important part of the plea bargaining process. They tried to say things about the confession that the tape recordings proved they were lying, he said. But the sheriff's office detective investigators brought forth and the state police that were helping with the case proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the confession was above board and was legally obtained. Let me read you a little bit more about this. So Mama Karen likes to keep me in check, and of course she's from down there, and she knows everybody, etc. But she said, "You missed a big part of the story. Oh my God, I am going to sit in the studio when you record from now on." And she goes on to say, Sherman Walker was the first black chief of detectives of St. John the Baptist Parish. And that Sherman had arrested Willie Rogers several times. And on November 6, 1984, Willie was with James Dunn and Wilford Buford Greenup. And that's, like I told you, he's the one that said, let's go burn Sherman. So the three men hid near Sherman's house. Sherman had to bring his unmarked unit in for repairs and left his home to go turn in the unit. Y'all, that happens all the time. That one of the biggest things you do as a cop is maintain your unit, right? Because that's your office. But as Sherman was the chief of detectives, the first black chief of detectives, was getting in his car, shots were fired. Sherman fell, and his wife came running out and found him, and she called the sheriff's office. By the time they arrived, the three men were gone. And at first, no one thought anyone would want to kill Sherman. And any cop gets shot, everybody's coming out of the woodworks. Every agency, state police, all the local cops, everybody's coming to assist their brother who's been murdered, right? But they didn't have anything, and time marched on, right? But then, they did the crime scene. Louisiana State Police crime lab did, and they found the slugs, and they did the autopsy and found out that Sherman was actually killed by the 12 gauge, like I told you. But it goes on, and very, very unusual that it would take 2 months for them to bring someone in for justice on murdering of a cop. They didn't have anything until 2 months later, while in custody, someone started talking, and what basically happened, the streets talked, and this person got his ass in a crack. And he was like, you know what? I can help you in the Sherman case. I can give you the information on, who you need to look at. So they told the police that Rogers and our hero shitbag Dunn and Greenup had killed Sherman. And so they bring him in for questioning. And Greenup, like, he knows he's looking at a death penalty. And again, he confessed, but said he didn't fire at Sherman. He fired at the car. But that's when I told y'all that forensics revealed that Sherman was killed by the 12 gauge shotgun, and the 410 slugs were in the car, right? So anyway, and James Dunn only got 21 years, y'all. 21 years for killing of a cop. Even though maybe his 410 slug didn't kill Sherman, and maybe it did hit the car, it doesn't matter. You went there armed with 3 shotguns, and you laid in wait for this career law enforcement professional to come outside his home and get his car, and you shoot him. Even if you aimed away on purpose, you're just as fucking guilty, right? Murdering of the cop, okay? And the James Dunn, I'm mainly focused on him. James Dunn got the 21-year sentence. He got the deal of a lifetime, right? Guess what happened, y'all? How many years do you think he did of that 21 years for killing, his participation in killing Lieutenant Sherman? He got the 21 years, and he got out in 10 and a half years. He was released in 1995 on parole. Figure it out. Louisiana, you get good time, for every day you serve that you don't get a write-up. I'm talking about inside of the prison. Every day you act good and don't break a rule, the state gives you 1 day credit towards your release and for when you can be paroled. He did 10 and a half years And when he got out in 1995, that led to him executing the two ladies in the bank. That's just messed up. How do you kill a cop or participate in killing a cop, and then you get out and you kill Miss Jackie Blanchard and Miss Lisa Dupuy? If he'd have been locked up in a prison, he'd have never. They should have got the death penalty for killing a cop, period. And it's just stupid. And anyway, I wanted to tell y'all about that part. My heart goes out just like it does for the victims and that were executed in the bank. My heart goes out to Lieutenant Sherman, the first black chief deputy for St. John the Baptist Parish, who was executed. And I apologize for not mentioning that. It's definitely worth mentioning. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about Dunn real quick. And because I missed this too, Mama Karen. So I told y'all when he did the execution of the two ladies in the bank, and then they were in that green Pontiac and they hauled ass through the roadblock when the deputy stopped them, and Dunn was driving, and guess what? He pulls out in front of the train and he gets smashed, right? And then they ran, and I think it was Kendall Bro who was injured and couldn't run, but Dunn and them ran for 2 miles and were called in the sugarcane fields, et cetera, et cetera. Well, guess what happens? And I'm going to read you this article. It's from Thibodaux, the Thibodaux newspaper, and y'all, Thibodaux is down south. And it says, convicted murderer Kendall Bro is serving 2 life sentences for brutal double homicide. But that isn't stopping him from heading to court again. This time, Bro is suing one of his accomplices for crashing their getaway rental car into a slow-moving train as they fled from a June 4th, 1998 bank robbery. So it's just 3 years after Dunn's on parole, y'all. 2 tellers were shot to death. A hearing on the case is scheduled for Monday in Gonzales, and that's just in Ascension Parish, y'all. Bro, James Dunn, and Anthony Scott, all of Garyville, drove away from the robbery at the Napoleonville branch of the Iberville Bank with Dunn driving. Dunn crashed the car into the train at the railroad crossing of Louisiana Highway 70 on the west bank of Ascension Parish, pinning Bro in the car. Well, you play with shit long enough, you get on your hands sooner or later. You dumbass riding in the back, you dumbass letting Dunn drive. But so police arrested Bro at the scene, like I told y'all, and they captured Dunn and Scott in a nearby sugarcane field. Now, Bro's lawsuit didn't specify how much money he was seeking. Also named as defendants in the lawsuit was the rental car agency, PV Holding Company, and its insurer, and Pathfinder Insurance Company. And Thomas Young, the rental company's lawyer, said his client shouldn't be forced to pay Bro any damages. And that's just crazy, and it shows you how prisoners or convicts have nothing else to do, y'all. And it's just crazy, crazy, crazy. He's now this asshole who just took part in the executions in the bank, and they're running, and Dunn's driving, and he breaks into the train. So now this guy is trying to get some money, and he's got 3 life sentences, right? Or however long, 2 life sentences. And he's actually suing Dunn for getting him in the vehicle crash, and he's suing the rental car company. Makes sense? No. I believe that, these lawsuits should not be allowed to gain any traction, and these assholes shouldn't have the right to do it. Let's go back to the execution of Lieutenant Sherman Walker, right? So I got a little bit more to read you on that. So this is an article. It says St. John detective shot to death. And this is Garyville, y'all, not far from, that's where Dunn and them were from. It says a high-ranking officer in the St. John the Baptist Parish Sheriff's Office was shot and killed during an ambush attack in front of his home in Garyville, authorities said Wednesday. Lieutenant Sherman Walker, 33, director of the detective division, was shot in the back, because they're fucking cowards, as he was getting to his unmarked sheriff's unit in the front of his trailer home on Little Emily Street. The assailant or assailants apparently had been hiding in some bushes across the street from Walker's home when the shooting occurred around 8:45 p.m. Tuesday. Sheriff spokesman Judy Guillory said, no arrests had been made Wednesday, and authorities did not have a motive for the shooting. As many as 50 law enforcement officers from the sheriff's office, state police, and Louisiana Sheriff Association's task force converged on Little Emily Street at daybreak Wednesday to question neighbors and search for clues. And a 12-gauge shotgun shell and some footprints were found in a wooded area across the street from Walker's home. But detectives had not recovered a weapon and were continuing to search for evidence Wednesday. Detectives cordoned off the street in front of Walker's peach-colored trailer, where they marked in orange the path that Walker took after he was shot. Walker, who was holding a gun in one hand and a two-way radio in the other, was near the door of a sheriff's unit when the first shot was fired. That's investigator Edward Rome said. A trail of bloodstains leading from the car to the front yard of Walker's home indicated that Walker tried to make it back to the trailer to contact the sheriff's office, Rome said, but Walker dropped about 15 feet from the front door, where he was found minutes later by his wife. Walker was shot as he was preparing to go to the sheriff's office to exchange his patrol car, which needed to be repaired, Rome said. He was carrying a gun, but apparently was unaware that anybody was hiding out across the street. He was ambushed, Rome said. I think the person just sat in the wooded area here and waited for him to leave his trailer. As far as any of his co-workers are concerned, this was the first sign that his life was in any kind of danger. Rome said he knew of no death threats that Walker may have received. He said he's not ruling out the possibility that Walker might have been killed by someone he had arrested, but said it is unlikely. So I gave that story to y'all in reverse. We actually know for a fact that they... Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something. All the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now,
they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes, plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser-cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
It basically was a retaliation killing. It's crazy. Anyway, a little bit more because I love to give the human face to the victims. It's a little bit more about Detective Lieutenant Sherman Ray Walker of the St. John the Baptist Sheriff's Office, Louisiana. End of watch, Tuesday, November 6, 1984. Y'all, end of watch means that's the last time when you take that last breath. You're no longer protecting and serving, and I'm sure he went to heaven. But let me read it to you a little bit more. Sherman Ray Walker, that was his real name. Lieutenant Sherman Walker was shot and killed from an ambush in front of his home as he entered his unmarked patrol car. The suspects opened fire with shotguns, fatally wounding him. Lieutenant Walker had served with the agency for 8 years. He's survived by his wife and 3 children. And y'all, prayers out to them and everybody else that loved him. I know this is, 84, 2004, 14, 24, 40 years ago, y'all. So Lieutenant Sherman Ray Walker was 32 years old, and he had been in service or on duty for 8 years. And his badge number was PD-11. And it says incident details, calls, gunfire, weapon, shotgun, and at this time, offender not available. So anyway, even y'all, he had after the death when this was written, his granddaughter did this on November 6, 2020, the anniversary of his execution or his murder date. It says, R.I.H. Grandpa, wish I got the chance to meet you. And that's by Corey Yana, his granddaughter. And it just goes to show you that these are real people, and these idiots are still alive. I just don't get it. And then y'all have a photograph of Lieutenant Sherman when it's of his graduation from the Post Academy, the same academy I went to at LSU. It says graduates of the 6-week LSU law enforcement course. Now ours was 15. And 2 of the officers from the St. John the Baptist Sheriff's Office from the left, Lieutenant Roy Nicholson and Deputy Sherman Walker. And I'm going to get this posted for you. Just young guys, and wanted to protect and serve. Another little quick update. Anthony Scott, who took part of it, he's still in Angola. Kendall Bro, the asshole who actually sued James Dunn and the rental car company, he is at Hunts Correctional. Y'all, that's where everybody that gets sentenced to the Department of Corrections in the state of Louisiana, they have to go there first to get classified, and then they get shipped out to Angola or whatever. But some of them do their time there, and that's where Kendall Bro is. And of course, we know that Dunn is at bloody Angola. So thank you, Mama Karen, for sending that in. And y'all, I got one more update. This is crazy AF. Leah Marie sent me this on the Daniel Blank, and he killed all those people in the river parishes, right? So check this out. This just came out yesterday. The different crime scenes and everything and how they tied it back into it. And what they really got him on was the confession, Daniel Blank, for the murders. I want to read you this because I'm going to be a little update episode. Just take a second. So this comes out, when I say yesterday, y'all, this came out on January 31st. Today's February 1st when I'm recording this. And it's by WAFB News Channel in Baton Rouge. It says Louisiana State Police have now completed their analysis of previously untested fingerprints left at multiple crime scenes in the decades-old case of River Parish's serial killer Daniel Blank. However, it is too soon to know if the newly conducted fingerprint review will point to anyone else being the possible killer. Blank, who is convicted in the death of one person, is also accused of the murders of 5 others and attempted murders of 2 more. And you go back and listen to the episode, y'all. So it goes on. In the 1990s, prosecutors based their case against Blank primarily on a videotape confession because they were unable to produce any forensic evidence tying him to any of the crime scenes. His lawyers argued the confession came only after a 12-hour police interrogation without an attorney present. Blank has since recanted his confession and says he is innocent. His defense attorney, Letty DiGilio, told the Advocate newspaper last year that she is hopeful the unknown prints and other DNA evidence left at the crime scenes belongs to someone already known to law enforcement. And y'all, when they did this case, DNA wasn't even active. But it goes on to say, the only evidence connecting Mr. Blank to all the crimes was his confession, such that a successful challenge to one case undermines the validity of all the cases, as DiGilio told the newspaper. And in 2021, U.S. District Judge Brian Jackson ordered the review of 29 potentially exculpatory prints from the case. Exculpatory evidence is any evidence to show a defendant's innocence. However, that court-ordered fingerprint review was delayed because of the death of a print expert hired by the defense. After that occurred, Louisiana State Police Crime Lab, best people in the world, y'all, worked with them all the time, was assigned to review the prints with an expert for the defense observing the process. Now, Louisiana State Police Public Affairs Commander Captain Nick Manali says that process was completed earlier this month. Testing has been completed with a court-appointed expert witnessing the scans, Manali said last week. The results of the scans were reviewed by the expert witness as the Louisiana State Police Crime Lab has fulfilled their obligation to the court order. The raw data from the Louisiana State Police testing has since been sent to Blank's defense team to be reviewed by a fingerprint expert. It is unclear when that review will be complete. In 1999, a jury unanimously convicted Blank of the 1997 murder of 71-year-old Lillian Philippe of Gonzales, Louisiana. Philippe was beaten and stabbed to death in the bedroom of her Ascension Parish home. The other victims included Victor Rossi, 41, Barbara Bourgeois, 58, Sam Curie, 76, Luella Curie, 69, and Joan Brock, 55. The killings happened in Gonzales, St. Amant, Laplace, and Paulina between 1996 and 1997, and thus dubbed the River Parish serial killer. Prosecutors claimed Blank robbed and killed the victims to fuel his gambling addiction. He was also accused in the attempted murders of Leonce and Joyce Millett. DNA evidence collected from 3 different crime scenes did not come from Blank. That's what previous testing has shown. That included unidentified male DNA found on the baseball bat used to murder Victor Rossi, unidentified male DNA found under the fingernails of Sam Curie, and an unidentified male and female DNA found on cigarette butts found at the Millett home, and this is what the court filings show. Blank, who was living in Sorrento at the time of the crimes, was sentenced to death in 1999. In 2016, the Louisiana Supreme Court halted his execution 1 month before it was scheduled to take place. He remains incarcerated. Y'all, he's locked up in bloody Angola, waiting on his date. His girlfriend, the article continues, his girlfriend at the time was also arrested and accused of driving him to many of the crime scenes. However, she was never convicted. Now, y'all remember I told y'all they cut her a deal and said, hey, you tell us, we'll give you immunity. You tell us what happened. Now, this article is kind of shaded one way, I think, because they had, although they didn't have any of the physical evidence, he worked for Victor Rossi. He lived near or knew the other victims, and they were able to establish this. They were able to track his gambling habits in the local casinos where he had like $60,000, $70,000. He moved to Texas and bought an auto repair shop. That's what he did for a living. But they were able to prove in the years before that he had made like $10,000 for the whole year, and now he's got close to $100,000 in cash. And they questioned him about it, and ultimately he would end up confessing. They tied him in, all circumstantial, but they tied him into all the victims one way or another, and he confessed to it, and he confessed to certain elements of the crime. Now, I can't explain the DNA and the new evidence they're coming up with, and I can assure you they're going to adjudicate it, and they're going to process it. They're going to give him every chance, but at the end of the day, unless they find that DNA, it all comes back to one person, and it's some kind of murder or someone who's been down. Just because there's unknown or male DNA at the other 3 of the other crime scenes, et cetera, it doesn't take away the fact that this dude confessed 5 or more killings and tried to kill 2 more, and came into the money, and each one of these people he knew kept cash at their homes and stuff like that. So, kudos to the defense for digging up and whatever investigator they used to dig up this evidence and, give this guy a fair shot. I'm a staunch believer in the death penalty, but I also don't want anybody to be wrongfully executed. But I suspect that they're going to come back and all these fingerprints and all this stuff. You know, it's basically a last-ditch effort. He was already scheduled for execution, and now we have a governor in office who's going to carry out the executions, which haven't been done since Gerald Bordelon in 2013. They let them review it, and if they find that it was someone else, and it's someone else's DNA at all the scenes and all that, and they go get a confession from this guy, then yeah. But other than that, this is just another last-ditch effort or an example of defense lawyers doing what they do. But yeah, you know what? He's been down this long. Take another year. Do what you got to do. See what you can find out. If he's innocent, then turn him loose. But I know that you are able to get false confessions, but you're not. It's not just his confession, y'all. It's the fact they tied him into every one of the victims, whether he worked for them or knew them through or lived close by, whatever it may be. And then he always asks and pays cash to open up this shop. And, you know, it was great work by the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office and the other officers from the different parishes that went down there. And basically, yeah, they said interrogation went for 12 hours. Well, guess what? At least they recorded it. Back in my day, we didn't even have video recorders, right? And I think you've heard me say this before. No good homicide interrogation begins to at least after 5 hours. That means you're going over stuff with them for 5 hours before, if they're guilty, before they start to break at all. If you're lucky, they start to break at 5. Now, either you start to break at 5 hours, then you're going to try to explain. You're thinking, oh, fuck, that, you know, Woody's got me like this. I lied about this, and he knows I'm lying about this. So in 5 hours, you start to change your story. Well, one thing that never changes is the truth, right? Then I know more. If it was me doing interrogation, I started getting a break in one way. Well, guess what? I've got more in my back pocket. I'm going to get that juice, right? And so then I'm going to hit you with this. Oh, well, you lied about this. And then how about this? And then you give them the evidence that, you know, they're lying about that part. And then you wear them out on that part. And it goes on. But you know what? He was Mirandized. He could have called for a lawyer at any point in time. He could stop the question and all that. I do not believe there's any such thing as a coincidence. I do not believe that they got it wrong. But I do hope that if they did get it wrong, because there are wrongful convictions, I understand that, and I pray every day that I never convicted anyone who wasn't guilty. But at the end of the day, when they run through this legal process, if you can't prove that it was another person by confession or DNA or whatever it may be, then Daniel Blankenship confessed to murdering these people, and he murdered them brutally. And he stated unequivocally that he did it for the money to support his gambling habit. It's a fact, y'all. The cops didn't make that up. They didn't feed that to him. I mean, there's a 12-hour videotape of everything that they did, and he ultimately broke down like a little bitch. If it's me, I don't give a fuck how long it takes. If you got me in there and I didn't kill all these people, you can interrogate me for 12 years, much less 12 hours, and I'm not admitting this shit. So anyway, I just want to give those quick updates. I'm also ending the season of Real Life, Real Crime. So the next episode you get will be a new season and more old cop stories. We have a lot of stuff going on, y'all. TV stuff coming. I mean, literally, the ink's on the paper and everything's happened like that. But a lot of changes, a lot of good things, a lot of positive things. Y'all, if you would continue to like and share and all that. Hey, Patreon and Convicts and Apple subscribers, you got another bonus episode on February 1st. And then the last week of January, you got another bonus episode. So y'all go check them out. It's kind of different stuff that, I'm thinking about and talking about. Interesting stories for sure. And I hope you're enjoying your bonus episodes. And if you can't be a patron or a convict or Apple subscriber, I get it. And I love you just as much. And I do love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. And, every one of y'all that stopped me in the street. And I always take my time. We talk to you and we take pictures together and stuff like that. Hey, that means the world to me. Wouldn't have the show if it wasn't for y'all. And, you're just awesome. Lifers are the best fans in the world. Y'all don't forget about the Real Life Real Crime Community app. I go there first every day before I go anywhere else to answer questions, etc. And so if you have any information on a cold case, send it to me at Woody, the email woody@realliferealcrime.com. Send everything that you have so I can read it. If you don't send, but a one-liner, hey, my cousin got killed, such, then I'm not going to take the time to look up that case, okay? So send me everything you have, and who knows what's coming. I wish I could tell you more, but I can't. But also on Miss Barbara Blount's case, y'all call the tip line. No tip is too small. Keep the pressure up on the people who murdered Miss Barbara Blount. We want them to be brought to justice. All right. And as always, I want to thank y'all for listening, liking, and sharing. Best fans in the world. End of the season. And we're back with a vengeance in 2024. Okay. And let's do LOPA, Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency. Y'all, they're a nonprofit. They're saving lives every day. They help facilitate the process, and they take care of these families, and they take care of the recipients' families, and way long after the organ transplants have been done, right? And it's a beautiful organization, and they save lives and they do studies and all this stuff. But they're nonprofit, and that's why we raise money for them every year. And I'd like to I always close every episode with, if you're not an organ donor and you want to become one, you don't have to be from the state of Louisiana. You could be a lifer from Missouri. Go to lopa.org and take 2 minutes, fill out the questionnaire, become a hero, and save a life. And I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. Until next time or ever, don't let me catch you down on Murder Bayou. Peace.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to or during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
When the wolf is at your door, your running's over, that's for sure. He already knows all about you. Cut you down no matter by you. Now you better
You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
Oh, 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 O'Reilly